I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com in part 2 of a very challenging dogfight between the LG Optimus G with its quad-core processor and the HTC Windows Phone 8X with Windows Phone 8 and a thin and light design. Starts in just a second, but first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile because they give us devices like this, which we turn around and give to you for free on the site at instantwin.phonedog.com. You know, the greatest thing about going into Best Buy Mobile this holiday season is you won't deal with rebates. You'll walk out the door paying the after rebate price, so you'll get your Optimus G or your 8X for a good price, and you won't have to do a paperwork or waiting 8 to 10 weeks to get it back. Let's take a look. Optimus G, 8X, which one wins? It's part 2 of an epic dogfight battle, and it starts right now. Part 2 of a dogfight battle, and like I said in part 1, we'll jump right in and take a look at text messaging or just messaging in general on this device because I want to talk about the keyboards on both units. Now you've got a 4.7-inch display over here, a 4.3-inch display over on the 8X. And let me give you a quick recap of both of these devices while I'm at it. LG Optimus G, available to AT&T now, 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro CPU. And then you've got, like I said, 4.7-inch HD display, 8-megapixel camera, 4G LTE, 2,100 milliamp hour battery. You know the works when it comes to this device. And it's available for 199 smackers. Now over here, the HTC 8X, also known by its full name, the HTC Windows Phone 8X. It's a nice Windows phone. It's one of the first devices to run Windows Phone 8, and it's packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. So as quad-core comes to Android, dual-core comes to Windows Phone 8, and it's packing a 4.3-inch HD display, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD recording, a beautiful color here with a nice shell here, 1,800 milliamp hour battery, 4G LTE connectivity, and more. So let's jump in and take a look at both of these devices when it comes to typing. Now I'm going to load up Twitter here just for example on both of these units. Actually, 2 different Twitter accounts are going to pop up, my personal and my work one. But you can see here timeline, for example. So we'll kind of start a new tweet and make it look like we're tweeting over on both of these devices. As you can see here, 4.7-inch display over on this HD display, and you've got a couple of different options when it comes to typing. So I'm just going to type test. Actually, I'm going to say the Quick Brown Fox, do the full thing. I just won't send it. Quick Brown Fox is ready for some coffee. Quick Brown Fox is ready for some coffee. And you've got a couple of different options here. LG's keyboard also has kind of trace input, very similar to what we've seen from Samsung, and kind of a swipe-like solution here where if you wanted to switch from physically hunting and pecking, you can come over here and say things like that. Hey there, how are you doing? Which is not my favorite by any means, but you can see portrait to landscape transitions reasonably fast in this device. Again, keep in mind quad-core processor over here. It's very nice, but you can really see a few issues there that I made as a result of hitting the period. I'll wait for this to focus in. Let's get that focused in. Come on. There we go. And you can see there, for some coffee, for example, Quick Brown Fox is ready for some coffee. Hey there, how are you? And then you got a couple of different choices as well in addition to LG keyboard. You got the Android keyboard, the stock Android 4.0 keyboard, and then you got Google typing, Google voice typing as well. And then over here, typical Microsoft keyboard, there have been some improvements. I'll say is ready for his cup of coffee. And I can come over here and quickly change the word just like that. And again, portrait landscape transitions exceptionally fast over on the Windows Phone device, thanks to the way Windows Phone operates, and especially in Windows Phone 8, much faster all around. So you've got that setting here. No real keyboard differences here. You got the stock Microsoft keyboard and that's it, but I find that it's relatively easy to use. The only qualm that I have about it is something like this where you're like, you know what, they waste a ton of screen real estate here. Take a look at this, for example. A ton of dead space here, a ton of dead space around here on the on-screen buttons. They really can make this keyboard a lot larger. So for people that are maybe coming from a BlackBerry or coming from a larger display device, they can quickly and easily get used to this. And that's something where I'm like, you know what, they really need to think this out. A couple of things, they've really improved Windows Phone 8 all around. There are still some things that bug me. That's one of them. The other thing that bugs me is that you can't, even in Windows Phone 8, keep the freaking signal strength indicator at the top of Windows Phone 8. I'd love to see this stay at the top where you have LTE, it shows you your signal strength indicator, it shows your battery meter, and more importantly, I'd love to see a physical battery percentage. So I'd be like, you know what, 4G LTE, I got 91% of my battery left, I'm doing well for the rest of the day. I'd love to see that, and I'd also love to be able to keep that right there at the top. Now granted, when you're in calls, and forgive me while I pull this away so I don't show off some of the numbers I've been test calling, you can see the signal strength indicator stays up there at the top, but you still can't see LTE battery life or more until you pull that down and it will always go away. So that's something I don't really care for over on Windows Phone 8. Over here you got, as you can see on LG's user interface, you do have the option for a physical battery percentage indicator in addition to all the typical stuff up here at the top. Not sure why this isn't switching over to LTE. Maybe the SIM card isn't provisioned. And I also love the notifications area. It's something I've really gotten used to with Android, with iOS. Notifications area is really nice to kind of group your notifications, obviously, and keep everything organized in one place. And obviously Android has that. Windows Phone 8 does not have a notification center. Some people love it, some people hate it. There's been a ton of articles about it, a ton of videos about it. I'm not going to hash into that argument, or hash out that argument rather. But what I will say is I like the notifications area. I also like the shortcuts up top, and better yet on LG's user interface, I like the option to change these around. So come in here for a second with me, and let's say, you know what, I don't really use Bluetooth very much. I can come in here and edit this, and I can move Bluetooth down to the bottom of the list. You know what, I use airplane mode the most. I use Wi-Fi second. Let's say quick memos up there as well. When I go back, you'll see that these have been custom configured to how I want them. So I can really kind of customize and make this notifications area my own, and I absolutely like that feature there as well. Another thing, quick memo is actually a pretty useful application. As you can see here, we're going to start fresh, and remind me, or forgive me here while I remember how to do this. Let's say, actually I'm going to go back quick memo. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's say I'm going to save that. And then I can come in here and take a quick memo. For example, let's do Gmail. And let's do quick memo. And I can write on the screen. I can save this. You know what? Kevin Spacey added me on Google. Kevin Spacey? The Kevin Spacey? That's pretty cool. So I can save that, and that saves it over there in my gallery. So that's a nice little feature as well. Kind of similar to the S Pen functionality on the Note 2 and on the Note, but not quite as fleshed out. What I do like about this is you don't need a pen. You can still use your finger. And fortunately, the 4.7-inch display is big enough that you can do that with relative ease. Let's take a look at Quadrant Standard as well. Load that up and speed test. Can't do Quadrant Standard over here. We will run Quadrant Standard on this device because I want to show you how fast it is all around. While we're doing that, we'll take a look at Microsoft Store over here because I'm going to see if I can download a speed test kind of related app here. Load up speed test. Let's see what we've got over here. Let's see. We've got some good ones. There's a good one I used to use, and forgive me, I can't think of the name of it. Well, you know what? We're going to stick without that for right now over on this device. But both are 4G LTE capable. We'll forego the AT&T data speed test in this video. What I will say is that AT&T's LTE has been great in the Dallas Metroplex. I'm getting speeds between 12 and about 35 at the peak, 35 megabits per second. So really impressive all around on this device. So AT&T's LTE doesn't disappoint if you're in a market that has LTE. If you're not, we're going to fall back on HSPA Plus or HSPA, so keep that in mind. So we're going to send these results right now. 7,461 on Quadrant Standard, an incredibly fast 7,461. That's really a testament to the quad-core processor on this device. It's very, very fast all around. Little to no lag whatsoever. Very impressive all around on this device. So let's take a look at cameras as well. You got an 8-megapixel shooter on both of these devices, and you've got a couple of different goodies up the sleeve of the Optimus G. One of my favorites is we'll turn this on. Cheese. Cheese. Kimchi. You can see it taking the pictures. What's the other? Smile. And so you have this auto recognition, or this vocal recognition turned on, rather, where I can go over here and say cheese, smile, whiskey, kimchi, LG, and it'll take pictures just like that. And I have some settings in here. I can do flash, zoom, brightness, the typical stuff, but image size, scene mode, white balance, color effect, all that stuff. Then I can come over here and do time catch shots as well. And so let's say, you know what, I'm taking quick pictures here. And let's see what we came up with over here. I can display the missing moments, and I've got a couple of different choices here. So if I'm running to catch something and I snap it, well, I can catch a couple of seconds before and say, you know what, that's the image that I really wanted. I can save and roll with that one and go right back to my camera. That's a pretty cool feature as well. Then of course the standard camera here is pretty decent all around. So obviously HD display makes it beautiful to view these images, and pinch to zoom is incredibly responsive over here. But still all around pretty decent performer there. What I like about this one is the quick ability, and this was from Monday, the quick ability to go back and forth between your gallery and your live camera. And then of course you have a physical camera button over in this device too, which I like a lot. So I'm going to come in here on the weather widget, for example, snap a couple of quick pictures. impressive camera here, but I would give a slight camera edge to the Optimus G, both for the camera itself and for the features. Very impressive all around. I do have some photo settings here. I can up the resolution if I so desire, the full 8 megapixels. I can save that, and as you can see here, Shazam, I can take that picture and go back to the gallery and take a look. So I do love the easy access to the gallery. I'll zoom that back out. There we go. And of course I have access to the front-facing camera, flash, and I can use various lenses. Bing Vision comes pre-installed out of the gate. So all in all, you know, they're both impressive devices, and I say this a lot in the videos, but I'm like, you know, it really depends on what you're most interested in. I mean, this thing has a couple of great things going for it. It's got, in addition to an improved user interface, it's got Xbox Live on this device, music and videos out of the gate. It's got a full copy of Office, so you can take care of your business documents with Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You can do SkyDrive and more. So, you know, they're really building an ecosystem over here between this, Outlook, and more. So you get quite a few things out of the gate with Windows Phone 8. That said, Android is the established industry leader right now. They're doing a great job when it comes to an ecosystem. If you have any sort of involvement in Gmail or Google Voice or Google Drive, which a lot of people do, myself included, this is going to be a good device for you because you can really take advantage of that ecosystem on your smartphone. So it's a tough decision, as always, between these devices, but the winner of the dogfight is the LG Optimus G. It's got a great ecosystem going for it, a great Play Store with over 700,000 applications out of the gate, incredible specifications here. Quad-core processor runs really fast, and 2 gigabytes of RAM is nice, and it's built really well all around, and it has 4G LTE connectivity. The one downside of this device, LG's user interface is very much going to be a point of contention for a lot of people because it is arguably not as fleshed out as Sense, as TouchWiz, or as Motorola's user interface. So keep that in mind. Take a look at it, see what you think of the user interface, see if you think it's fleshed out, see if you can live with it for a couple of years. But in terms of specs, LG's back in the market, and they're back in the market big time. And that said, the HTC 8X is an incredible device. It won the dogfight on Monday against the Xperia TL. So it's a very good device. I love the design. Love the fact that Windows Phone 8 is catching up with dual-core processors. That said, they got some work to do in the ecosystem on this device before it really brings it up to those high-end Android devices like Optimus G, Note 2, Galaxy S3, One X Plus, and more. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for continuing coverage of both of these devices. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you think of both of these. PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter, Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB, and be sure to enter our greatest tech giveaway ever 2 at Facebook.com/PhoneDog. Thanks for watching. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage, and as always, we'll see you next time.